Everybody, welcome back to Leosophy. This is a relatively short beginner episode for memetic disease, and that's because I'm just going to sort of go over it, what it means. So, for those of you who don't know, all animals' goals, ultimate goals, actually all organisms' ultimate goals, is to continue their genetic line through reproducing. It can be through fission, budding, etc., forms of asexual reproduction that result in a clone, and it can be through regular sexual reproduction that results in an organism that's wholly unique, but that has some, usually 50%, of the DNA of the parent organism. And we call this spread of genetics. So that's all that is. It's the preservation of a genome through reproduction, because every organism is finite. Even the ones that live thousands of years are ultimately finite. But humans have come up with something rather unique. We actually share ideas, and it's amazing to consider that a lot of components of your behavior and personality are genetic, obviously, and from your family tree, but some of them are from things that you've learned from teachers and even from people who have died before they communicated their information to you because they wrote a book or something. And we call this memetics. And memetics is how information can alter and mutate and change really, really quickly, especially with the advent of the internet, almost like a virus. And Richard Dawkins is sort of the one who coined the term because he's noticed that information and ideas can spread similar to how a virus can. And what's funny about that is when he initially talked about that, it was comical to hear him compare it to a virus, because a virus is negative, whereas memetics aren't necessarily negative. In fact, they're almost always more positive when we think of them. We usually think of funny pictures that change over time as more people have a hand at augmenting them. And that's very similar to how genetics does work. But what I'm talking about is what I'm calling memetic disease. And so the idea behind it is, what if an idea introduced to a society, be that a tribe or even a planet, thanks to the internet, what if that idea is bad for the survival, long-term fitness, in other words, of the organisms who adopt it? That's what I mean by memetic disease, because genetic disease is what happens when there is a flaw in the genetic coding of an individual that causes physiological problems. In other words, it decreases fitness. So they have a gene that decreases their overall fitness, that is to say, their capacity to survive and reproduce. Well, what if there are ideas that, when introduced to a group of organisms, decreases their ability to survive and reproduce? I first thought about this when I was analyzing a series of studies on learned helplessness, wherein dogs who are capable of absorbing memetic information, let's say, but not really spreading it not too well, when they were taught to not avoid electricity, basically they were shocked whether they tried to avoid it or not, and so they learned to just accept it. And I thought, what if this was applied to a number of cultural traits that are negative? So I'm going to be talking more on that in the coming episodes. Particularly, next episode is going to focus a lot on a very unique tribe in South America, wherein suicide before the age of 30 or 40 is almost universal. It's very interesting. But that does it for the first episode, just explaining what I mean by memetic disease and memetics. Like, share, subscribe, keep asking questions. Bye.